Good morning and welcome to the Trade Setup right here on BloombergQuint. I'm Niraj Shah, and the world has changed a little bit. At least the equity markets have changed a little bit. I'll get to that in a bit. First, some coronavirus updates. One, the reported death tolls in the world's coronavirus hotspots seem to be coming off a bit. The deaths are coming off, and that's at least the market seems to be viewing this as a good sign. Of course, all of us are happy that the number of people passing away are coming off. Across Europe, in the US as well, yesterday the numbers were, well, arguably not as bad as the trends were suggesting, and therefore all of these are being viewed positively. So that is part one. Boris Johnson, unfortunately, has been admitted to the ICU after his condition has worsened. And as a result of all of this, remember, Germany was in throes of the stimulus measures, ending the lockdown. Other countries have spoken about how they'll scale down the lockdowns. Japan, while talking about a large stimulus package, as well as spoken about nearly $1 trillion worth of stimulus also. They've unveiled the package. So all of that should augur positively for world markets. So as a result of that, the US markets, while they did what they did when our markets were shut on Monday, but they ended the day positively, which is a good sign. So Friday was a negative close, but yesterday was a positive close for the US markets, and Asia is taking off from there. Japan, at least the last time that I checked, was trading in the green. The SGX Nifty since yesterday evening has been trading well, and the US futures too have looked okay. So keep in mind that the world markets as a whole are shaping up well, and that should augur well. Now, just a quick update before I move on to the trade setup as well, that while we've not had a bit of a bounce, this is what sentiment does. A bunch of Asian markets, like Kospi, for example, the peripheral markets, are already back about 20% from the lows that they've hit. So the technical terms have already entered a bull market of sorts as well. So that's the interesting bit. Markets are very volatile, very choppy, and very pacey moves is what I'm trying to drive home. Now, as far as the Nifty goes, we haven't had a great run thus far. The question only is, can this improve if the sentiment around the world markets improves? Indian markets will be driven, one, by the number of cases in India, but two, also by what's happening across the world. And if the world markets improve, then Indian markets could improve as well. Flows aren't showing any signs of improvement as yet. Yeah, the Friday's number is also a negative 1,960 crores, a bit of a bump up from the previous 2 days. Having said that, I don't think too many people anticipate positive flows in the near term, so that shouldn't surprise anybody. So net, the world markets are positive. What does that do to specific stocks? And there are a few things that you got to keep in mind. Keep in mind, oil too will be a factor out here, because oil has risen a little bit because there is talk that Saudi Arabia and Russia are close to a deal. So you got to keep that at the back of your mind. But the stocks that you should monitor today on a day when we'll start off in the green, the tricky one is Bajaj Finance. The con call excerpts seem to suggest that they are considering provisioning on some large accounts on account of COVID-19. So provisions for Bajaj Finance will definitely inch up. They gave out the quarter four update as well, and you can read that on our website. But I'm essentially trying to say what Bajaj Finance will do in the quarter to come, because that is the more important thing. The con call happened at 4 p.m. yesterday. A copy around this on our website as well. But the other key thing is that they've said that if the lockdown gets over in time, which is either April 14th or at worst case April 30th is what they said, then they should see some demand revival by end of July and a full recovery by the month of September. So this is something that Bajaj Finance said in the call. Very cautious. They mentioned that growth is the imperative, but right now, because of the situation, they are not going full-fledged behind growth. HDFC Bank, the quarter four update was actually pretty strong. Again, what they did in the quarter is of little consequence compared to what they will do. But however, for the record's sake, from all the updates that have come out, which is HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, AU Small Finance Bank, and IndusInd Bank, I thought this one was the most important one. They've seen strong growth in loans and deposits, arguably pointing towards some very pacey market share gains for HDFC Bank. So the bigger franchisees are winning over from the smaller franchises, and that should maybe help the likes of HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank, but this one stood out really for me, and therefore pointing that out. SBI Cards, though, unfortunately has said that they've seen a significant decline across discretionary and essential spends both. It's not just discretionary, even essential spends have seen a decline, and this shouldn't augur well. The stock dipped below 600 as well for a brief period, so it'll be interesting to see what this one does in the session today. And from Soba and Godrej Properties, I thought Godrej was the interesting one, so I've put that out as one more stock that you should be watching out for today. They've sold record homes in the March quarter. The update that came out yesterday seemed to suggest that. They've also said that operational momentum would be maintained in the months ahead owing to the liquidity that they have and the strong balance sheet that Godrej believes they have. So as a result of that, a very confident quarter four update put out by Godrej Properties, a sector that is plagued, but they believe because of COVID-19, but they believe that they will stand out there. The last but not the least, I just want to put out a statement that Jamie Dimon said. This is the first update that he's given since he went for the ailments recuperation that he suffered. And he said that JPMorgan will not be left unscathed as a result of COVID-19. He says, and I quote, at the minimum, we assume that it will include a bad recession combined with some kind of financial stress similar to the global financial crisis of 2008. JP Morgan, however, said that they'll not refrain from a dividend. But this is not a JP Morgan update as much as it is what Jamie Dimon, the man who heads JP Morgan, believes COVID-19 could do. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup today, and have a great day ahead.
The union to secure your future is here. Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank are now Union Bank of India.
How many